Welcome to a very special episode of BET's House Party. I'm Kylie Scales, and I'm the Managing Director of Black Lives Matter Global Network. Black Lives Matter Global Network and BET partner today to bring some information that is both timely and important in this moment where COVID is wreaking havoc in our communities. Many of us experience stress and trauma and fear during this time and in other times in our lifetime. And we're struggling and trying to figure out a way to calm ourselves and to see past the chaos, to tap into hope and to transform our lives. We're very excited today to welcome Dr. Deepak Chopra. Deepak Chopra is the founder of the Chopra Foundation and Chopra Global. He's also the author of the book MetaHuman. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Chopra as he leads us through conversation about our mind and our body connection, about how meditation can help heal our spirit and put us on a path towards healing. And then he'll walk us through a meditation to calm ourselves and to feel connected with our spirit. Thank you and welcome, Dr. Chopra.
Thank you, Kylie. It's great to be with you.
So first, I'd like to begin and ask you, so some of us are learning about your teaching, about your spirit and your voice, and we are really starting the practice of meditation or really understanding the practice of meditation. And we'd love to understand your healing journey. How did you become Deepak Chopra?
Well, I became Deepak Chopra when my mother gave me that name, Deepak, which, by the way, means light of awareness, light of consciousness. But then I, after high school, went to pre-med, and then I took training as a physician in India. I went to medical school in India. I came to the United States in 1970 as an intern. And then I moved from New Jersey to Boston. I took my training in internal medicine and got board certified as an internist, and then in something called endocrinology. For those who don't know what that is, it's the study of hormones. And then I went on to study brain chemistry, or what is called neuroendocrinology. So at this time, this is way back in the late 70s, I was puzzled by two things. One is that I could have two patients who received the same treatment. They had the same diagnosis. They saw the same doctor, me. They got the same treatment, but they had different outcomes. One could die, the other could recover. And in between, there was everything else, partial recovery, remission, chronic illness, getting better, etc. So my first insight was that, if you treat the body as a mechanical machine, you can only do so much. You can maybe get rid of a pneumonia or, an infection, but in the long term, you don't make a difference in the chronic illness of a disease. I also discovered that 80% of all prescriptions were for optional or marginal benefit, which means if you didn't use them, it wouldn't really make a difference either way. And 80% to 90% of prescriptions in hospitals are for just 5 things: pain, anxiety, nausea, insomnia, and constipation. If you track all these back to their source, it's because of stress. Everything that we call dis-ease starts with stress. So that was my first insight. And the second, of course, was my own training in brain chemistry, where I realized that your emotions and your thoughts actually become molecules in your body. So if you're having anxiety and stress, then you make adrenaline, cortisol, which weakens the immune system and also creates inflammation in the body. And inflammation is the basic background in everything. Even right now, when people are dying of COVID-19 or getting sick or getting on a respirator, the common background is inflammation. It's acute inflammation, and then there's something called chronic inflammation, which comes from chronic stress, chronic anxiety, chronic depression. So there's a connection between your biology, inflammation, your state of health, and your emotional well-being. So that's how I started my journey. I was teaching at Harvard and BU and Tufts, later in California. We started doing research on things like meditation, mindfulness, also on emotions like love, compassion, joy, equanimity, peace. And what did we find? We found that when you have these practices, which we can talk about more at length, then your body begins to heal itself biologically. It begins to self-regulate itself. It's called self-regulation or homeostasis, which is the opposite of inflammation or the compromised immune system. So that's been my journey, the science of healing. The word healing means whole, which means everything, body, mind, spirit, but also relationships, because that's part of our life. We live in relationships. So emotions, body, mind, spirit, environment, food, sleep, breathing, all these things affect our state of biology, whether it's inflamed, which is one extreme, disease. The other extreme is what I would call a joyful, energetic body, a loving, compassionate heart, quiet, reflective mind, and then ultimately lightness of being. Lightness of being is the most important because we are light beings. Light means we are spirit beings having an experience of mind, body, and the world. But when we're in touch with our spirit, there's only lightness of being, and there's only joy, there's only love, there's only laughter, and it's all healing.
Yeah.
And there's a science to it.
Yes. And I think we see a lot, especially right now, we're experiencing a great deal of stress. And Black people in particular experience trauma, sometimes over generations, and we hold that in our bodies. What I hear you say, and I'd love to hear more, is that can impact our health, our everyday health. Can you talk more? And we hear a lot about mind-body connection. Can you talk more about?
Yeah. First of all, we have to define stress. So stress is best defined as the perception of threat. So whenever you feel threatened, it doesn't matter what the cause of threat is. When you feel threatened, could be finances, could be a relationship, could be a lack of sleep, could be anything. You feel psychologically and emotionally threatened, or that's your interpretation, then that causes biological chaos. It stimulates a part of our nervous system called the sympathetic nervous system, which causes the release of adrenaline and cortisol. These both cause inflammation and also weaken the immune system. That's the effect of stress. Now, you mentioned intergenerational trauma, and that's true. The stress that your ancestors experienced were maybe taken into slavery or captivity or conquered by foreign colonial tribes, basically, because it's all tribal to begin with. All goes back to our tribal history. That stress in your ancestors, that can cause epigenetic changes, which means even though the genes you inherit are the same as your parents, your father and mother, but the genes by themselves are just the alphabet of our biology. So your biology right now is an expression of your genes. But how those genes get activated, they go on and off. They go on and they go off with every experience. It doesn't matter what the experience is. So let's say the experience was in the Holocaust, Nazi Germany, the Germans invaded Holland. There was a famine and everybody was starving at that time. Now, the great-grandchildren and the grandchildren of those Holocaust victims have diabetes because in their consciousness, they're still starving. Okay, so the effects of trauma on the ancestors are influencing the behavior and the biology of the descendants through what we call epigenetic mechanism, turning on genes and turning off genes. So our genes are not fixed. That's the most important thing. There are entire groups of ethnic backgrounds that are basically the victims of trauma that happened generations ago. Now, if they're not aware of that, then of course everything automatically recycles itself. Inflammation, obesity, metabolic syndrome, diabetes. 95% of all diseases that are connected to genetics, 95% are actually not fully determinate, which means the genes don't determine that you're going to get the disease. There are 5% of genetic mutations that are. For example, if somebody has a BRCA gene like Angelina Jolie had, that predicts breast cancer. So she had to have a mastectomy. But the 95% even of the genetic damage that causes disease can be corrected through addressing the trauma, the psychological trauma, and then going beyond that to heal our trauma, psychological, emotional, even that which we have inherited from, say, hundreds of years ago, we can heal that now. And if we heal that now, it changes our biology completely.
That's amazing. So the mind-body connection is such that if we are able to focus and heal our generational trauma, our current trauma, it can present outcomes in our physical body today.
It can lead to, theoretically, it can lead to prevention of 95% of diseases. It can theoretically, I'm saying theoretically, we have to prove this, but theoretically the information is there, the science is there. So not only can it prevent 95% of chronic illness, it can reverse illness like diabetes, like heart disease, like even some types of autoimmune illness, like asthma, all of that. And that happens biologically through a stimulation of a part of your nervous system, which is the opposite of the sympathetic nervous system. It's called the parasympathetic nervous system.
Yeah.
So the sympathetic nervous system puts you on inflammation and overdrive. The parasympathetic nervous system does the opposite, makes you more resilient, more adaptable, more flexible, and therefore is the healing system. And everything that we call mind-body interaction addresses the parasympathetic nervous system. There's one nerve that is more important than any other nerve in the body. It's called the vagus nerve. It's the 10th cranial nerve. And the word vagus is a Latin word, but it's related to the English word vagabond. So the vagus is a vagabond nerve that goes from your midbrain. It affects your facial expression. Are you happy? Are you sad? Your eye movements. Are you being honest or are you shifty? The tone of your voice. Are you relaxed? Are you friendly? It influences your heart rate variability. Ultimately, it goes into your abdomen, influences every organ in the body, solid organs, and also the hollow organs, the intestine. And within these hollow organisms, there are extra genes. So you only got 25,000 genes from your parents. You have 2 million extra genes, which are called the microbiome, which is all the bacteria, the viruses, and the fungi, without which we couldn't live. So even COVID-19 is a virus that's been around, Corona has been around forever, since the beginning of time. We call it the flu virus. And once in a while it mutates. And the mutation is what causes damage. So COVID-19 is the mutation that occurred in 2019. Now we say, what are the causes of the mutation? There are some mutations which are spontaneous, which just happen by themselves. We don't know why they happen. But most mutations are not spontaneous. Most mutations are due to toxicity in the environment. So if the environment is polluted, like climate change, or too much pollution, carbon particles in the atmosphere, or the food is poisoned with the petroleum products, manufactured food, or you're having toxic emotions like anger, resentment, grievances, hostility, anything that we can call a toxicity, toxic relationships, toxic environment, toxic work habits, toxic food, anything that you can think is damaging, causes inflammation, that is counteracted by the vagus nerve. And so mind-body practices actually help you not only counteract the toxicity, but heal. The COVID-19 is a mutation. And it's a mutation because our biosphere, which means our ecosystem, your body is an ecosystem. And so is the world an ecosystem. your body and the world go together. The rivers and waters are your circulation. The air is your breath. And the sunlight is the energy in your body right now. The atoms in your body were made in the crucible of burning stars. The trees are your lungs. So, we are co-inhabitants of a bigger mystery that we call life. And that bigger mystery that we call life is an ecosystem where everything is in harmony with everything else. Now, once that gets disrupted, then a mutation can occur, and that mutation can spread across the ecosystem, devastate it, and now it is doing that. Everything that we took for normal is being devastated, whether it's financial markets, whether it's race relationships, whether it's nationalism, whether it's tribalism, whatever it is, that thing is being disrupted right now. And when we come out of this, I hope we'll be holy and we'll be healed, because we'll recognize that we are inseparably interconnected. Doesn't matter whether we are black or white or brown or yellow, doesn't matter the color of your skin. At the deepest level of existence, we are one spirit. Many minds, many bodies, many experiences, many relationships, but one spirit. Now you can call that one spirit anything you want. God, Allah, Ein Sof, non-local awareness, consciousness, doesn't matter. When we get to that level of our being, we are healed.
Right. That's amazing. And so I'd love to talk a bit about what healing looks like and how we can approach healing. Clearly, healing will impact all aspects of our life, our physical health, our environment, the way we treat our environment, the way we treat one another. So can you talk a little bit about meditation in particular, the practice of meditation, how that ignites the vagus nerve or utilizes that nerve, and how it helps us approach healing?
So right now, meditation, as you can see, is getting very popular. About 4 years ago, with Oprah Winfrey's help, we started the 21-day meditation programs. And again, thanks to Oprah, we've reached now 10 million people online teaching them meditation, which is amazing. Okay, amazing. Totally amazing. Now, in the West, when people learn meditation, it is precisely for what we've been talking about, stress management. They're stressed, they want to manage their stress, and meditation helps them to calm down, to cool down, so they're not so reactive. The body goes into self-regulation. The genes start to regulate themselves. Everything happens in the direction of healing because you're managing stress. But if you look at the traditions of meditation across the world, East, West, look at the traditions of meditation in the indigenous cultures of the world, in Africa, in Asia, everywhere, then what you find is that meditation originally was a way to get in touch with what we today would call our soul or our spirit. So meditation is not a system of thought. It's how you go beyond your thinking. Your thinking is conditioned by your history, your mind, your economic status, your race, and all of that. But meditation actually gets you to the source of thought. And the source of thought is also the source of emotions. It's also the source of perceptions. In other words, the source of thought is the source of all experience. And when we get there, we realize that actually that source is infinite. It's formless, and it is without boundaries. It's totally free. So if I were to say what is the essential experience of meditation, I would say it is lightness of being. It's a very interesting phrase, lightness of being. When you feel lightness of being, you become a light being. A light being means a spirit being. And light beings modify their experience of existence in a way that they always experience a joyful, energetic body. That's one symptom of healing. You're feeling a joyful, energetic body. Another symptom would be a loving, compassionate heart. Not because you want to be loving and compassionate, but because you feel like that. It's a natural outcome of your being in touch with your spirit. So that was another symptom of healing. First is joyful, energetic body. Second is loving, compassionate heart. Third is a reflective, quiet, creative mind. So the best use of your mind is creativity. The worst use of your mind is stress. And it's all in imagination. So your mind becomes quiet and reflective. And finally, you actually feel like a light being. So if you have joyful, energetic body, loving, compassionate heart, quiet, creative, reflective mind, and lightness of being, then you're holy and you're healed.
Yes. Wow. How regularly is it important to center and connect with our souls?
Well, initially, any amount of time. If you can just sit quietly for 5 minutes, close your eyes and put your attention in your heart or on your breath, and just start with some meaningful questions. Who am I? What do I want? What is my purpose? Or even one question, what am I grateful for? As soon as you ask that question, everything cools down in your body, everything calms down. If you ask yourself, notwithstanding what you're going through right now, whatever you're going through, financial crisis, relationship problem, if you close your eyes, feel your body, put your attention in your heart and ask yourself, what am I grateful for? And just observe what comes in the form of sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts. Inflammation will go down, immune system will be stimulated, homeostasis will be regulated, and healing will begin just by asking that one question. What am I grateful for? And then feeling your body. That's all. Just ask that one question. Then you can ask others, who am I? Am I a changing body? Am I a mind? Or am I a spirit? What do I really want? Do I want more money or do I want abundance? Abundance is much bigger than just money. Okay? Money is one. So ask yourself, what do I want? What is my purpose? Is it to work more and compete with others, or it is to create a joyful planet? So ultimately, meditation, if we are enough of us doing it, it can create a more peaceful, just, sustainable, joyful, and healthier world. And we can upgrade this nightmare that we are going through right now just by meditation.
That's right. Thank you for that. That's a lot to think about. So our viewers have asked specific questions, a few of which I'll ask you to understand a bit more about meditation and how it works. So Jen from New Jersey asks, can children benefit from meditation? And if so, how?
Yes, children can, but just remember, before the age of 5 years, children only want to do one thing. They want to play.
Yeah.
Okay? So for children, the best meditation is play. And you should play with them and play with them meaningfully in terms of poetry, music, storytelling, fairy tales, dance, just any joyful expression of your spirit is meditation for your children, and they will mirror your neurons, and that'll be enough. After 5 years, you tell them, can you shut up for 5 minutes today? Just 5 minutes. Okay? That will be an introduction to real meditation. And they're 6 years.
I'm going to try that.
Quiet for 6 minutes till they get to 10, and then you can teach them everything you want.
Okay. That's really great. And you touched on this a little bit. Grace from Queens wonders, how can meditation help communities in trauma?
Okay, so there are many kinds of meditation, and we should talk about that. So the first kind of meditation is reflective self-inquiry, which means asking yourself questions and quieting your mind without knowing the answers. That's the highest intelligence you can have, to question without knowing the answers. Because knowing the answers prevents us from actually knowing the answers. All the answers we know are because people told us these are the answers. So, first is ask yourself, who am I? What do I want? What's my purpose? What am I grateful? That's called reflection. The second type of meditation is what these days people call mindful awareness or just mindfulness. So mindful awareness is observing your breath, or observing the sensations in your body, or observing a color, or observing a sound, or observing a musical note, or observing a taste, or observing a smell, or observing your thought, or observing an emotion. Basically, being a silent observer of experience without judging it. And you don't have to observe all experience. Choose one. Observe your breath. That's mindfulness. Okay? Or observe sensation in your body. Or just observe a thought you're having. Or just observe an image in your mind. Any image. Rainbow, sun, sunrise, sunset, clouds, whatever you want to, observe that. That's mindfulness. And then there's meditation that takes you beyond that. Observation of relationship, mindful awareness of the mystery of existence. But then there are mantra types of meditation where you repeat a phrase like "Thy will be done," or "The Lord is my shepherd," or "Peace be upon you," or "Shalom," or "Aham," or just a mantra. And when you repeat that, it takes you beyond thought to the stillness and the gap between your thoughts, where ultimate healing is. So yes, when we practice these types of meditation, it takes us to the source, which is beyond all trauma. The trauma is in the mind. It's not at the level of being. The level of being is independent of the mind. The mind is a story. It's my story. It's the story of my ancestors. Their story is the story of their ancestors, on and on, And if you look at all these stories, then everybody has harmed everybody else at some point in life. So you forgive. You say, I forgive, not because the other person deserves forgiveness, but I forgive because I deserve peace. Once you do that, then you're willing to go beyond the conditioned mind to where the healing really is, which is the spirit.
That's incredible. As we think about meditation, sometimes it's really difficult because there's a lot of noise, physical noise, especially right now where we're all in quarantining together, and it could just get really loud. And then there's a lot of fear and anxiety that are crowding our minds with all of this information. A few people have asked, both Alagum in Georgia and Renee in Queens Village asked, how do we calm our minds enough to engage in meditation in these types of moments?
You can do it instantly. Anytime you feel stressed, it's because you're reacting to a threat. Okay? So anytime you feel stress, you just press the pause button, metaphorically, and instead of reacting, you observe your reaction to react. So you don't react, you observe your reaction to react. And that requires 4 things. First, stop whatever you're doing right now. That's called stop. Then second, T. Take 3 deep breaths and smile from your head to your toes. Just smiling and feeling your body will change the biology of your body. So T, S stands for stop. T, take 3 deep breaths, smile from your head to your toes. Notice what's happening in your body. That leads to number 3, observe. Observe your body sensations and your breath. And then P, proceed with compassion and conscious choice. Now, it sounds simple, but you need to get into the habit. So anytime you stop. Press the pause button, stop, take 3 deep breaths, smile, observe sensations, breath, proceed. After a while, it becomes a habit. And then you don't need to get stressed at all.
Okay.
You're in the moment, grounded, and actually in the present moment. And when you're in the present moment, by the way, there's no stress. All the stress is imagining the future or regretting the past. That's it. So once you take your attention away from imagining the future, whatever it is, good or bad, and regretting the past, whatever it is, good or bad, you're totally present. And that is called presence. And presence is spirit. And spirit is healing.
Yes, that makes so much sense. So finally, Leo from Connecticut asks, where can we find hope and promise in times like this?
Well, right now, it's available everywhere. Just go on the internet. And if you want to participate in any of my programs, which are free, offered, lots of them are free with Oprah, just go to chopracentermeditation.com and you can download whatever free meditation is happening now. You can go to YouTube and just again, if you type my name and you look for meditation, or type other people's name, doesn't matter. You'll find lots of resources right now for meditation because the world is asking for it.
Thank you. That's a great idea. So at this point, I think it'd be great if you can walk us through a meditative demonstration to help us to practice.
Okay, so wherever you are, and since we're all on the screen, you don't need to close your eyes. Just keep your eyes open, but have them unfocused, which means just be aware of the space that is engulfing all of us. We are all engulfed by the same space, and that space is infinite, and we are all engulfed by it. So it's our common source, the space, and beyond that space is the space that we call spirit. So all you have to do is be aware of this space right now that you're in. And just being aware of the space with unfocused eyes, your mind should start to quiet. Just be aware of the space. See how your mind gets quiet. Now become aware of your breath. And the breath is what we call life. It's a connection between spirit and biology. So just be aware of your breath. Don't judge it. Don't try to manipulate it. Just be aware of it. Breath is movement of spirit. That's why we say, I am inspired. Inspired means in spirit. When you're aware of the breath. And now this is a very short meditation, but let's do it anyway. Close your eyes and feel your entire body. Feel all the sensations in your body and mentally introduce the following intention: joyful, energetic body. Repeat that like a mantra and feel your body.
Joyful, energetic body.
You can do it mentally. Just mentally feel your body while you're saying that. Now bring your awareness to your heart and just mentally use the intention, loving, compassionate heart. Now bring your awareness to your third eye, which is between your eyebrows, and repeat the following sentence: reflective, quiet, alert mind. Reflective, alert, quiet mind. And let your awareness now move outside the boundaries of your skin. Let your awareness move outside the boundaries of your skin. Let it pervade all of space and time. And the intention, lightness of being and healing to all. Lightness of being and healing to all. Now bring your awareness back into your body. Relax. Open your eyes. So this is called intentional meditation. Now this is one form. There's mindful awareness, there's transcendence, there's mantra, there is relationship, there is all kinds of inquiry. So we can go on an adventure together on meditation and we can heal the world.
That was amazing. I think the moment for me when you suggested that my eyes on focus, I just felt different from that moment. And my breath was different. And I just feel, I feel the intention that you mentioned. I feel lighter already. So thank you for that. And I hope that others.
We can make this a habit. And if this is our habit and this is where we live, then there's no problem.
It's important. I feel better. I feel better. It's a stressful time and this makes me feel better So I'm hoping that others feel much better as well. Thank you.
Sharing
Thank
it.
you so much. So I feel so good right now. I'm just trying to find my words to close this beautiful session. Thank you so much, Dr. Chopra. Thank you for your time and your energy and your spirit and your words. They've been incredibly meaningful. I know they will touch and support so many people as we're living with fear in this moment of uncertainty, trauma. It just feels like chaos a lot of the time, and we need to find calm. And thank you also for talking about generational trauma and how our bodies can hold on to it. Black people worry about a lot of things. We worry about our health, we worry about our loved ones, we worry about our physical safety in this world. So acknowledging that generational trauma and calling us to heal that, so that we can heal our current bodies and our minds and our spirits, is a very, very powerful message. So thank you again. Is there anything that you'd like us to leave with today?
Just one phrase: love in action. Love without action is meaningless. Action without love is irrelevant. When you have love and action, you heal yourself, you heal the world.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone for participating and watching. I'm Kylie Scales. Thank you, Dr. Chopra. And thank you, BET. And thank you, Black Lives Matter Global Network.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.